outside, they be looking at it, looking for that clear picture. We don't gotta steady do to see a couple new.
If you don't know, man, you tuned in to Let's Yap About It. Even though I don't talk much, he got something to say. Stuck in most of our mouth.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Yeah. Let's yap about it. Let's yap about it. Yap About It podcast. Starring Raw Bass. Let's yap about it. Yeah. Let's yap about it. Let's yap about it. Let's yap. Let go. Let's yap. We in the mix. Live. Let's yap. Bit too savage like music.
Welcome to the Let's Yap About It podcast. We are the only media and the only tangible podcast where you will hear it raw and uncut, live and direct, and full effect first for you, the people. I'm Robert Higgins, your host for today's podcast, and I'm the interviewer that's going to definitely give you a different perspective today. I started out with today's message, and I appreciate y'all for joining me. This is season 4, and when I wrote this, I had this wrote in mind just because it was Black History Month, but there's so much behind this message that needs to translate to everybody. And when I say translate to everybody, it has to translate because if we're actually going to push the culture and we're going to push ourselves forward, then there's some things that we need to address, and there's some things that we need to go back to the basics as far as learning and experiencing and understanding. Why Black Love Matters in 2024, but I'm naming it Why Love Matters, period, in 2024. Now, as I start tonight's program, this was a long journey for me. It's been a broadcasting uphill battle and downhill battle. I've took major gains, I've taken major losses, but I stayed focused, I stayed the charge. And I became a person that has become better, more efficient, more consistent in my way of life and how I move. I want to talk about this because there's been a lot of trials and tribulations in my life, but maybe this message, me starting it off with love, would progress us in a forward march. And I'm going to use myself as an example. I want to talk about this and why love matters. Why we are here and how did we get here? If you do any type of comparisons of where we are now, who are we and what are we when we come to the family dynamic? First, who are we defined in our households? Men, women, and children. As we've been going through this journey, I've seen the parental involvement of who we are as a society. Who are we and what are we? What is our value? You know, this thing that has been going around, what do we bring to the table? What does the man bring to the table? What does the woman bring to the table? It's just become almost to the point of where it's been a gender war. And it's made me sick to my stomach because we're not able to sit down and establish relative terms and understanding between both genders. It's become so sickening to the point of where we won't even give each other acknowledgement and respect based on a transactional foundation. We should be able to respect one another. We should be able to talk to one another and just in a kind conversation. It shouldn't lead to anything that is a result of a transaction because everybody's not based on transactional reactions. Who are we and what are we when we come to family? What is the purpose of a father? What is the purpose of a mother? What is the purpose of the children? If we're all to be legacy driven, what is the next step after the children are born? Are they going to push us 10 steps forward, or are we going to take 20 steps backwards? And when that child is watching and soaking up so much game, the good, the bad, and definitely the ugly. But I asked this question: before we walk into the world, what is our label from our parents? Did you even have good parents to begin with? Was your mother respectable? Did she carry herself in a way of class? Did your father have a foundation to where he worked hard? He represented. He made the last name of your family look good. I asked that question. Before you've ever walked into this world, what was the foundation of your parents? And I'm not saying that we can't have bad parenting, because there are good children that have came out of that, definitely. But what I'm asking is, how serious have we taken parenting up until this point? When we look at where we are in the society as a whole now, how serious have we been taking our parenting skills? I asked this question: what is the standards set amongst ourselves before going into the world? What standards have been set of us knowing how to deal and tolerate with certain things, and knowing what to not deal and tolerate with? Where's our balance in that? Where do we set our standards on our goals, our aspirations amongst ourselves? When was the last time you even sat down as a family to sit down and talk about those things that are going on in the father's life, that's going on in the mother's? If you have a 2-parent household that works, the children transitioning into the workforce, what are you teaching them in order to push forward the family foundation? Are we getting better, or are we getting worse? These discussions used to be had at the table. There was a time where you would sit down with your family and you would sit down and have different discussions, in-depth discussions. The children wasn't monosyllabic, giving you one-word answers. They were actually in detail telling you about their daily comings and goings. Where has that gone now today? If you remember that being there back in the day, all the way from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, 90s, and then it slowly started to deteriorate around the new millennium. Why? And if you have to ask the question why, then I suggest one thing: start implementing it back into the society, implement it back into the family. There's a starting point. I know that there's times where you get home, you're tired, and you know what I'm saying, you're frustrated, you're dealing with work, you're dealing with other things, you're dealing with work even at home, but take the time to sit down as a family. Sometimes you have to push the world out. You have to push the world out of your house and make your family wholesome. Make your family whole. That's something that we don't have in our society now, because everybody's moving so fast. Everybody's moving so fast. But sometimes we can move so fast and be functioning strictly off stimuli to the point to where we don't even recognize one another or even care less about one another. That's where we at right now. This is where we are in 2024. Everybody's chasing a bag, but does not have substance.
Watch the table because it's picking up in the mic.
Okay. So I want to ask the qualities of what we need to know and how it affects our future as a whole. We need love because it works as a connection to the very people that are in our communities every day. Dr. Amos Wilson talked about that love, and he talked about it in depth to the point where your community is going to show that. Your community is going to show that in detail. And we have to get to a point to where we have to understand what love is. And it's not of something that you can buy. It's something that is a part of you. It's something that's built inside of you. It's something that you're taught and trained. Most times people run from that word training. But let me tell you something. That word training is very meaningful. If you look at the success in anything, any sport, any corporate job, anything that has been of success that has lasted over the 20, 30, 40 years, then it was a consistency and a set standard that they had to make sure that every year they grew. Not stay stagnated, but actually grew. Now I want to say this. Sometimes in this love pattern, sometimes the love we take for granted, and it can be easily taken away. And I got to experience that in real time. And the reason why I say this is because, and I know it's close to Valentine's Day, I had a friend of mine that I had to tell this story to. And it made him change his perspective on his relationship with his wife. And it also, I told this story to a couple of other people that changed their perspective in their relationship on even being in just a relationship, period. Now check this out. I'll never forget February 14th. That was the most craziest day that I had ever experienced. And the reason why I say it was crazy is because nothing went right that day. Nothing went right that day. And when I say nothing went right, I mean everything that you could think possible went wrong that day. When I got up, my plan was to get off at 1 o'clock. That way that I could have a free rest of the day. Man, what ended up happening is all of what could go wrong. All the extras on top of extras on February 14th could go wrong. And I'm talking about, man, I had to rent a truck, had to move stuff, had to go to the storage. I'm talking about specifically for my job. So what 1 o'clock turned into 5 o'clock. But in that process, I was moving fast. Like I say, I'm learning from experience. I was moving so fast and not realizing that I was pushing myself further and further behind. So as I was on the freeway, and I'll never forget this, 610 North, I was going to go drop some stuff off at a particular store. And I kept rushing and it was traffic. Every which way I went that way, it was traffic. And I said, you know what? That may be God telling me to slow down because I'm moving way too fast. And I was frustrated. And all of a sudden, I was going to another store, more traffic. But this time I seen a wreck. And I said, yeah, this is a definite sign. This is one of those days, but I'm going to weather the storm. Let me tell you something. I weathered the storm that day. I was tired. I was exhausted. I'm talking about, man, the only focus I had was to get home and to make Valentine's Day worth something, not just for myself, but for my daughter. When I tell you, when I got home, all I could do was look at Rest in Peace. And when I seen Rest in Peace, when I seen that wreck, I would have never imagined that it was actually my friend. It was actually my friend. So, we're good? Okay. So, what ended up happening was when I seen the RIP, I wouldn't have never imagined the wreck that I passed was actually somebody I knew that was a good friend of mine. And when I say a good friend of mine, because all I can remember, and I still have that post that I made on Instagram that day, was about being worth something and being somebody else's Valentine. And when I say being worth and being somebody's Valentine, he said up under it, he said, hey, look here, man. If you don't have a Valentine's, just say that. And then I just laughed, and I had to put the laughing emojis right up under it because he always gave me a hard time, and we used to always go back and forth on Instagram, and we always had fun. But when he passed, it was a heartfelt situation because that had been my homie from day one. I mean, we took a liking to each other, always had respect for one another, always wanted to see him do good, always wanted to see him do great. And for that to happen, it just took the wind out of me that day. I mean, it was like, what else could possibly happen through a hard day, and only to discover that. But it also made me realize the value of who his friendship and what his friendship and who he meant and what he meant to me. And the most of all part is how life can be taken for granted. Love can be taken for granted. And it was so serious to the point because I knew he had just got married and he was happy. He was literally, truly happy. And he was just always in a positive light. I never seen him negative. And for that to happen, it made me realize that I needed to take a step back, for one, and slow down. And second of all, value life, because you never know how long you got here. You don't know how long you have. So with that being said, that right there became a real part of my life and my legacy, because that was somebody that I never would have thought had passed so fast. So if you have people in your life, don't take them for granted. If you got arguments, problems, situations, rectify them immediately, because you don't know if that's the last time that you'll ever see that person. I want to say this too. If we don't prepare the children now, then what will the children have to select from to assure the legacy and growth and development of our own? If we're ever going to establish anything, don't you think that it's necessary for us to put into our children a little bit better, be a little bit more better representatives of who we are, especially when we come into the schools, especially when we out and about, especially when our friends see our parents? Don't you think that we just need to put just a little bit more effort? And I'm not saying that you're not doing a wonderful job, but I mean, right now, just the suicide rate is at an all-time high amongst children. The pressures of being able to have 1% items when they don't understand that it actually takes 50 years plus to become a millionaire. They're trying to afford 1% items. And if they feel like they don't have them, then they feel like they don't belong in the society. We got to teach our kids what reality is. Not the perception, but what the reality is. We got to teach that. Because if we don't understand what the value of real life is, then they're going to go every which way to try to find it. And they're going to buy it. They're not going to be able to get it. They're going to buy it everywhere. And it's just going to lead them to a road down to destruction. So I beg you to understand why love matters in 2024. Because we're moving far and separate away from it. I want to show y'all guys something. And this is truly in depth. And this is something that I think that we need to address. And I think something that we need to talk about. Things that destroy love. And I'm going to show you some of the things that destroy love. Some of the things that destroy love, and one of the terms that I want to bring forward to us is this. The whole phase. This is something that is destroying love right now in our modern society. You can see it on Facebook. You can see it on TikTok. You can see it on Instagram. That's what's being pushed. The whole phase. Now I ask this question. What purpose does it serve as a whole to the psyche and body to a human being? Now I also asked you this. What is the spirituality in that? When you're consistently giving yourself to other people, when you're consistently spreading yourself thin to where you don't have nothing left for yourself. I want you to understand something. The whole phase is no different than a Faustian bargain. When you start giving up your moral system, you start giving up your integrity, you start giving up your morals, values, and principles for a system that does not work and proves effective to 0%. 0%. You going through a whole phase does not serve you. It destroys your psyche. It destroys the very essence of you, male or female. I want you to understand that. And when you do that, you are giving your soul, you're giving your spirit up for something to get in return. You get 0. I'm going to tell you something else. A whole phase can be cheered on by the same toxic people that you don't know are toxic. A lot of those people want you to be in the same realm, in the same light as you. The same realm. They're soulless. They want you to be soulless. That's why they always want to keep you distracted. They never want to give you a chance to say, you know what, hold on. I done went through a traumatic heartbreak. Let me take a moment away from everybody and everything. Let me work on myself. Let me find out where I was the problem. Let me find out what were the things that I did to destroy the relationship, because it also takes 2 to tango. Where do we go from there? That's the point of where you're supposed to take time out for yourself. Hey, cut off the phone, cut off social media, cut off even sometimes your friends, just to get in that lone space so that you could redevelop yourself, so you could redefine yourself into something completely different that's going to be beneficial to society, not destructive. Because what I want to introduce y'all is what we call the dances with lemon effect, right? The dances with lemon effect is this. When you take a sweet person and you mix them with a sour person, it could be male or female. And what that sour person does with that sweet person is turn them sour. So therefore, they don't never fix themselves. They're already self-destructive in that process. And then they get with a sweet person and then they turn them sour. I call it the dances with lemons effect. And it starts turning everybody sour. Everybody that you come in contact with, it's always a problem. It's always a situation. It's always chaos. It's always negative. It's nothing ever positive. But you get with that person and you literally suck the life out of them. You suck the spirit out of them. You suck the positive energy. You suck the positive good vibes out of that person. That whole phase and the dances with lemon effect goes hand in hand, along with toxicity from your friends that will support and cheer you on. And I've never seen a society cheer on divorce. Celebrate it like it's a success when it's actually a failure. We've literally become a society to where we take things like a divorce, which is a failure, and we try to mask it as a success when we should be sitting down and figuring out why it didn't work. Believe it or not, some of the questions that do not get asked in divorce court is why. They're only separating the money. They're only separating the assets. They're only separating the houses and everything that y'all have achieved maybe as a success together. But they never sit down in a court of law and ask you, without pointing the finger, what did you do to contribute to the failure of that relationship? And 9 times out of 10, it never gets discussed because you know why? You have a set of friends that's going to cheer you on and say you're doing what's in the best interest for you, but you may not be, because who's to know? If that person that you could have sat down with maybe took a 15 to 20-minute conversation, instead of hanging on to your ego, instead of hanging on to your pride, you could have actually possibly became successful in that relationship on round 2. How many times does that happen? How many smiles do you see come out of a court and how many frowns? Ask yourself that. Why? Or the people that do come out with smiles are really crying behind the smiles. And it doesn't hit them, and reality doesn't hit them until maybe weeks down the line, months down the line, or even years, when all they had to do was say, I'm sorry. All they had to do was say, my fault, my bad. I'll take accountability and responsibility for that. That's why love matters in 2024. Because as much as we try to mask ourselves and get away from what the reality is of us and what we might see in that mirror, it may be disgusting. It may be bad. But it's okay because it is fixable. Because every day you got a chance to get up and be better than the previous day you had before. You had a moment. You had chance and chance after chance. You have the opportunity to be better and be greater the next day. So I say take advantage of it. And the reason why I said that it goes different, because I want you to understand within that whole phase, all of these words that are being tossed around and all of the psychological analysis that's coming into play of self-healing and self-help. And I'm going to introduce this to y'all. It's called the new psychological analysis. Self-help, but I'm going to help you, but I'm going to also show you exactly why I need the help. You need the help too. And then necessarily might not be the case. The words that they're using: gaslighting, toxic masculinity, in other words, have entered the lexicon of people that have went to therapy. And a lot of times they don't fix themselves. They go out in the world and try to fix others and tell them what they're doing wrong without fixing themselves first. Because I've always believed in this, and shout out to my boy Tim. It's not an ego, it's how we go. So that means you have to take your ego and you have to set it down and you have to put it to the side. Because at the end of the day, is that argument worth? Is it worth the relationship? Is winning that battle in that situation worth destroying the whole relationship? And if you can become selfless, like I say, you can put that ego to the side, maybe you'll be able to save it. Maybe you'll be able to teach that other person that has always been hell-bent on winning that sometimes it's okay to take a loss. And it's not necessarily a loss, especially if you're trying to understand somebody. It's not. I want to talk about this that destroys black love and just love in its entirety. The gotcha moment of I'm going to get you before you get me. and they're always looking for leverage. They're always looking for to be 10 steps ahead of you so that if anything crashes out on them, that they'll never just take majority of the blame. We're human beings. We're not robots. We are subject to failure at any given moment. Any given moment. You see product recalls all day, every day. You see meat products, everything that happens. Anything can happen at any given moment, and we're sitting here trying to be picture perfect. That's a problem. That's definitely a problem. The gotcha moments are the most destructive moments to me. And the reason why I say that is because you're sitting literally waiting for somebody to fail. Now, you're not waiting to show them a way that's a better way of understanding one another, but you're waiting on that moment to be destructive to that person, to call that person out on anything negative all the time. You're just waiting on that gotcha moment. That right there can destroy the psyche of a person. You want to know why I say this? It's because I see kids, and I've worked in the school systems, and I see those kids they come in with their head down that have behavior problems. Because you know why? Because I know that they've heard some of the most cruelest things said to them, not only by their parents, but others too, who don't believe in them. So when they come in there, they're already mentally beat down and frustrated and angry because guess what? They want to turn the tide mentally on how people and what their perception of them is. So I get to witness firsthand when people literally have their heads down. These kids have their heads down. And if you're supposed to be transferring love to make the next generation better, how you going to do that by destroying the children from which come from you? How you going to destroy that by always having something negative to say to some kids because you see them playing around or you might see them doing something? There's a huge, large disconnect between the older and the younger now. And I'm here to bridge that gap, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about this too. The hidden agenda. Coming in with bad intentions leads to bad results. A lot of times people getting in these relationships, getting in these marriages for all the wrong reasons. And you don't understand that actually being with somebody that cares about you and respects you as a whole, man, in 2024, you better hold on to that. You definitely better hold on to that. If you got any woman that believes in your vision, you got any man that believes in your vision, you better hold on to that person. Because right now in 2024, people are in the situation of get all I can out of a person and can all I get out of a person. They are literally trying to figure out what you have. They're literally trying to butter you up, trying to get in the mix with you to take away what maybe your family has built for you, maybe what was aired to you, so that they could actually take it and do less or even nothing with it. I've literally seen people in this generation hell bent on taking something from somebody and they still didn't do nothing with it. I want to say this, the hidden agenda, and I want to tell this story because I heard this from somebody who's a very close friend of mine, older gentleman. The story was so heartfelt that I dang near had tears in my eyes of what he went through. And as a man, he stood tall because as a man, you have to be a man at all times. Through the hurt, through the agony, through the pain, everything, you still have to be a man at all times. He told me he was married. He got married. Good man. I could tell just his spirit. You know what I'm saying? Discernment tells me. I'm telling you, good guy. Told me he got married. Made sure his wife didn't want for anything. And this is way to the point of where we are now as a society. Got with her, made sure she was good, taken care of. Man, she had nothing to want for. Her mother got sick. He told her, hey, look out. You know what? Don't worry about anything. I'm going to take care of everything. Go take care of your mama. I'm going to hold down the house, make sure you good. Don't even worry about anything. What ended up happening was she went to go take care of her mother. Then all of a sudden, she asked for a divorce. Came out the middle of nowhere. He was shocked. After he got the divorce, it was something in his spirit that just didn't sit right. He was like, something's not right. But yet and still, he took it on the chin as a man. He moved on with his life. Now check this out. She ended up getting married again. Got married again. Her husband passed away. Now, like I said, they divorced. She got half of his pension. The other guy passed away. She got all of his pension. The story doesn't stop there. Now, here's the part that really got to me. Now, after the first marriage, divorce, second marriage, husband passed. Here we go. She was heired to her mother. When her mother got sick, she finally passed away. She was heired to some money that her mother left her. Now, in the process of that, something happened to where they had to cross paths and he had to go to court and some documents got revealed in a situation. He didn't go in particularly to detail about it, but check this out. All was revealed. And this is where I tell you the dangers of actually doing people dirty. Now, you just heard me say she got her ex-husband's pension, half of it. Her second husband, who passed away, pension. Got the mother's money that was heired to her. But come to find out, she crossed her sisters. She had sisters. She crossed her sisters out. What she did was she went to go take care of her mother. Her mother was suffering from dementia and had her mother sign over some paperwork that made her the sole heir to all of what the sisters were supposed to receive. She heired strictly to herself. Now, if you don't understand selfishness, you won't understand anything. Now, check this out. After all was said and done, all the money that she acquired, all the money that she got, guess what? He got back on his feet, established himself, having a brand new house built. Now, funny is, after all of that, what she had, guess how much money she had left out of all of what she got out of 2 pensions and heired of what she crossed her sisters out of? 0. No money. And do you not know that this woman had the nerve enough to try to come back to her ex-husband a second time? This is where we at in our society. The entitlement, the delusion, and most of all, the disgust that people can really have for you can use you no more than just a monetary gain. And this is exactly why I'm talking about what I'm talking about, because you got people out here like this, and you have to be mindful of people that don't have nothing but bad intentions for you. They don't have anything good for you. Oh, they'll fake the phone. Oh, believe you me, they'll fake the phone. But believe you me, it's all an act. And I always believe this. And shout out to my boy Jason Black. He taught me this. He said it's only 2 types of people: ones that are bad actors, and the second one is the ones who get tired of acting. That's it. And I understood that, man. And when he told me that, man, my heart went out to him, because I know he's a good guy and he's an older gentleman. But, man, when I tell you, man, that's one of the key things that has made me relevant to this day to be able to share this type of information is I sat back and listened. Because our young boys and our young girls need to understand that having a hidden agenda ain't going to do nothing but destroy you. That's why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. The hidden agenda can cost you your legacy. The hidden agenda can literally destroy what God had in store for you in the future, for you and for your children. You have to set aside your ego. You have to set aside your pride. You have to seriously become selfless, not selfish, in order to push your legacy forward. But I want to also talk about this. I want to talk about the proxy war that started by people you trust the most. That's another thing that destroys love. And I'm talking about from a parent, a sibling, and friend perspective. There are lots of times that you don't understand that a lot of wars go on in houses. A lot of wars go on in houses simply by people dropping salt. Literally coming into a household with a peaceful mindset, and it could be male or female, it doesn't matter. And people on the outside could be sprinkling negative energy, starting a proxy war. I'm talking about saying negative things and dropping certain things in the lane to where it actually destroys a relationship. And if you don't understand, I want to bring this to you, right? And I want you to understand what this means and how effective it is. It's a war instigated by a major power which does not itself become involved. You see what I'm saying? That could come from an auntie. That can come from a sister. That could come from a brother. That could come from a coworker. That could come from anybody, to where they just start dropping little things to initiate certain arguments. You know what I'm saying? Being able to be in a realm of, remember I told you that toxicity, that group. You could have a sister, or you could have a sisterhood of failure. You can have a brotherhood of failure, and y'all all can end up. Think about it. If you have 4 or 5 millionaires around you, and you're not one, you eventually become one. But guess what? If you got 4 or 5 negative people around you, especially when it comes to marriage, especially when it comes to relationships, what do you think is going to happen? You're eventually going to be just like the rest of them. Just like I said, who's a part of that success, quote unquote, failure when you divorce? Who's a part of that success, quote unquote, failure when you're breaking up in a relationship? It's not a celebration. You got people that breaking out the mimosas, champagne. I'm talking about sparklers on a bottle, acting like you done won the championship when it's actually a failure. And that right there is the definition of delusion. That right there is the definition of delusion. And you're going to lose every time going into the next relationship thinking that your successes, which are failures, are the foundation of what you're built up on. And you're building yourself on shaky ground. I've literally got to see a lot of people say little things, even at the bar, even when you're in a group of people, say a lot of negative things about relationships, say a lot of negative things, especially when people got married. Oh, they're not going to stay married long. Who are you to tell anybody that? That lets me know specifically you're not prepared for marriage. If you wish any type of negative damnation or anything upon anybody's marriage, man, I'm going to tell you this right now. Get the hell away from them. Get the hell away from them, man, because all they're going to do is set you up for failure. And they're going to pretend that they've always been there when they were already preparing you for failure for you to be with them. See, I go deep when I talk about this type of stuff. A lot of times, let's go with the parents. A lot of times, the parents can actually be jealous of your success in marriage, even though they might have had a failure. But it's up to the parents. They're supposed to be the ones that make me fail at things, assure the success by pushing it forward, not pushing it back. When was the last time you heard of somebody say, hey, when are you going to give me grandchildren versus when are you going to give me a marriage and grandchildren? When is the last time you heard that? That right there in itself is a negative. And that's something that has to be changed at this point of where we are in our society now. It's pitiful. It's pitiful where we at. And if we're going to do something about love, then that means we got to change whatever we need to change immediately. Otherwise, our children ain't going to have a point of reference for anything. Now, I want to talk about this, and I want to take a turn, and I want to talk about something positive. Things that build love. I want to talk about things that build love. Who and what your surroundings are and what standards to you and what you live by. And what I say is, there's nothing wrong with setting them high. It's nothing wrong with setting them high, because when you set them high, you're going to push even harder and you're going to push even further. Who are your people? Look around in your circle. If you got a successful relationship, who you around? Who are you around? Are you around some married folks? Are you around some promiscuous folks? Are you around some negative people? Are you around some party goers? What are you? Who are you around? Who's challenging you mentally to be better for your husband? Who's challenging you mentally to be better for your wife? Who's challenging you mentally to be there and better for your children? Because I do believe that it takes a village to raise a child. It does. And I've literally been in situations to where I've had to look out. Now, I've been labeled a negative Nancy or whatever that you want to call, but there are a lot of things that I've never discussed behind the scenes that I've did for children and for women that I don't even cross paths with or haven't crossed paths with in over 10, 15 years. I literally have had, when I say it takes a village to raise a child, I was literally the one that made the phone call when I seen a young girl that I knew, who I used to date, her mother. Her daughter was out here bad. When I say daughter was out here bad, I'm talking about bad to prostitution. Now, my ego and my pride wasn't too big. Now, I could have left it alone and said, hey, that's not my business or whatever. But the parental part of me, because I got a daughter, I would hope somebody would phone me and call me and let me know what's going on with my daughter. I literally looked her up on Facebook, and I made sure that I gave her a phone call to let her know, hey, man, I don't know if you've seen your daughter. I don't know what the situation is. on a personal level, but your daughter is out here bad and she's out here selling herself. But I think I need you to get in contact with her. This is not my girlfriend. I wasn't even in a relationship with this girl. I hadn't even talked to her. I literally made sure as a man to set the standard. Hey man, just because she's not my kid does not mean that she's not a kid of anybody's parent. But I took the respect factor of myself and the respect that I have a child and I would want somebody to do the same for me. I made that phone call and guess what she did? She went and got a child. Because who knows if I didn't make that phone call, what could have possibly happened with her? Sometimes you got to look outside your kids and look at other kids and just to even give them a word of encouragement to make sure that they good. See, a lot of times I never understood when I step in the barbershop or I step in the clothing store, if I step anywhere in my neighborhood, of who's watching me, who's looking at me, who's soaking up my words, who's soaking up my imagery, who's soaking up with the things that I post on social media. I don't know who's following me. I got thousands of followers. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I try to put out at least an encouraging word because some of these people and some of these marriages and some of these relationships ain't heard nothing positive. They've literally heard since they've been children, oh, you're not going to be successful. You're going to be a complete failure at everything. Every woman you touch or every man you touch or anything, they've continuously heard negative. And I wanted to be the voice of reason and turn that into a positive. And that's why I say things that build love are these things are what I'm talking about and why love matters in 2024. I want to say this. The point of reference, not only do your children see, but others see to be inspired by it. You just heard me talk about that. You don't understand who's watching you. When you go to church, when you go to certain places, when you go to certain venues and y'all out and about, you don't understand that a lot of times you're an inspiration for people. A lot of times, a lot of people lose hope and they look at you and they look at your life and they look at your situation as a little bit better. And some of them may be afraid to ask, but sometimes you got to put your arm around them and bring them close to you. You got to let them know that you care. Let them know that you respect them. Let them know that you are there for them in their time of need. Not just in the good times where we partying and we having a great time, but in those moments when they don't have anybody to turn to. Let them know that, hey, man, at times it can get down, but I'm still here, right here with you. And a lot of times you can be an open book to people. And a lot of times you can express yourself in a positive manner and it'll make people flock to you. Your personality is something about your glow that people can feel comfortable with and to be able to secretly go to if they're going through hardships and hard times. That's why I say it's important of what you only get out whatever you put in. So you have to put out good messages. You have to put out good vibes alone. And let me tell you something. When you do that, you can actually change the narrative. You can actually change a lot of things in people's lives that they may have had, perceptions or whatever. But I also want to say this too. Details are the foundation of every conversation and decision that you make when you build in love with people. Be direct. Be precise. Be to where you can actually get on each other's level. And when I say get on each other's level, push each other to a forward standpoint, not backwards. Speak life into existence. Speak from a positive aspect because it's like I said, it's so many people that have that negative energy around them. So they feel like even when they open up to somebody and somebody's ridiculing them and criticizing them, it makes them not even want to open up. It makes them not even want to say anything. So they take and 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 to the point of where they actually explode. And this is exactly what we got going on in our society right now. A lot of explosions, a lot of negative energy where people have literally took everything and they can no longer hold it and their psyches and their mentality is broken. But I'll challenge you. I challenge you to go to your significant other, go in details. I'm talking about even if it's a bad situation that you might even in your marriage or whatever, be honest, be truthful, because I tell you this, a lot of people can deal with the truth than they can with the negative. And that's just straight up. A lot of people can deal with the truth better than the negative. And that's just the honest truth. And if somebody knows the details of whatever your shortcomings are, take the out. Take the out. If your female knows that you've been messing up and you ain't been handling your business, take the out. Because if she's giving the detail, give the whole detail because she's going to know exactly more than what she's saying. So just take the out. Now, I want to say this about building love in general. A healthy environment makes for a longer lasting relationship marriage and relationship, and also in health. I want you to understand right now, the lifespan of people has shortened. The lifespan of people has shortened, and the morbidities in people have worked. I'm talking about at an early stages where people used to get sickness in their 60s and 70s and 80s. Now you have diabetes, you have gout, you have all the congestive heart failure, all of these things right now in your 30s and your 40s. People are working twice as hard, making twice as less, and trying to make ends meet. And they mentally frustrated. They emotionally frustrated. They financially frustrated. And you sitting here and not understanding the significance of a person that you have in your life, willing able to take on maybe 50%. Man, be appreciative of that. It's some men that out here that can take 100%, but be appreciative of the man that can take 50% for now. He may get to 75% later, and then even further in the years that he may be able to take on that 100%. Be thankful for what you got, because it's a lot of people that don't even have that. And if you have somebody willing to work with you, willing to build ideas, exchange ideas, try to create financial stability to the way you can have a life at ease, man, take advantage of that and stay with that person. Stick with them. It is, like I said, it's so many people out here that want to take advantage of your altruism. They want to take advantage because they know that you're a kind person. That's just how you was raised. That's just who you are. You got narcissists. You got people with psychopathic tendencies that are willing to prey on people like you and destroy you and take from you what your parents have built, what others have built for you, what your business has built for you. You got to understand that in itself, create a healthy environment. Create a healthy environment. If you see that your significant other is going through some things, be able to take the load off. Let me tell you something. Being able to take the load off is actually a expression of love. When you can identify and you can see your partner going through something, hey man, having to do this, and that after work, and guess what? They're tired and exhausted. Man, go the extra mile. And let me tell you something. When you go that extra mile for that person, it's gonna create a love, and it's gonna create something in that other person to do the same for you. Like I said, it's not an ego, it's how we go. And if we're moving in a forward direction together, what's gonna stop us? What's gonna stop us? Now, I want to say this. One of the things that can lead to building love, as I call this, the plug and play into your successes. There are too many people that, like I said earlier, about what we bring to the table. If you have somebody that has the resources, it could be man or women, it doesn't matter. Men or women. If that person has the resources, let's say, for instance, the male has the resources, the woman has the money. Put it together and make it happen. If the man has the money, she has the resources and connects. Put it together and make it happen. You sitting there staring at a table knowing that y'all both can bring something to the table, and you're both sitting there starving. Get it together. Put it on the table and let's eat. At the end of the day, we're supposed to be eating together, right? So why are we waiting to see who puts what on the table? Eat. There's going to be times where it's going to be 50-50, 60-40, 80-20, 90-10. But guess what? In the process of that, it's okay. It's not going to hurt you. And I want you to understand that there is a balance to what you don't have financially, that person has mentally. Whatever that person has mentally, that person has emotionally. Whatever that person has emotionally, that person has financially. It comes in waves. And you have to understand that you're going to be consistently tested. And if you put in the marriage first, you're putting the relationship first, you're putting the togetherness first, you're putting everything. And I'm talking about putting yourself last and putting everything else on the table first, you're guaranteed to be a success, but it takes a practice at it. And like I say, taking the little things and turning them into big things, especially small wins turning into big wins, man, that's an amazing accomplishment, because not only do you get to see it, but the others get to see it on the outside. Your children get to see it. They actually have a point of reference of a mother loving a father and a father loving a mother. I want to say what the solution is. We really need to take a good look in the mirror, and we really have to look at our insides and have a reality check. If your insides are good, they should reflect your outside. Your insides are a reflection of your outsides. I don't care how pretty you are. If you pretty on the outside and ugly on the inside, you ugly. You ugly. Your insides reflect your outside, and if you don't like what you see, then it's time to change it. There are a lot of people walking around right now, beautiful as ever on the outside, gorgeous. but they rotten on the inside. And you got to get that up out you. You got to pull that out of you. You got to start going into the reality basis of looking in that mirror and knowing that even though you see that outside is a beautiful thing, you got some things that you need to change. And I'm not above scrutiny because I got things that I have to change about myself. We're all a work in progress. We're always a work in progress. But at the end of the day, you can go to your significant other and tell them and ask them, how did you deal with this? Don't have an ego. Ask them, literally. Hey, man, I went through some hard times, some hardships and everything. But that's okay. But let me show you what I did to deal with them. Then that means you become a master of your own domain. And you can actually teach your children the same thing. Well, Dad, Mom, how did y'all get through this? That's the beauty of it. Because back in the day, and I'll say this, from a marital standpoint and a relationship standpoint, this is how it would work. A man would go to the mother and father of the daughter and say, hey, look, I want to marry your daughter. I want to relinquish you of the responsibility as a father, and I want to take over that. And what they would do is they would sit down and they would have a talk. Same thing for the daughter, to the two sides, of the mother and the father on that side, and say, look, I want to relinquish the responsibility of taking care of your son. I'm going to make his house a home. That was the way it was supposed to be done back then. That's how it was done. Then what ended up what happened is if you did have any marital problems, both sides would collide together. You would probably have 25 years of experience on the left side, 25, 30 years on the right side, and whatever marital problems that they probably experienced on both sides, they would sit down and they would have a conversation. Sometimes it may take an hour. Sometimes it may take 2 hours. Sometimes it may take 4 hours. You may need a lunch, a recess. Somebody might get clonked in the head. But at the end of the day, it was to be figured out, and we all were to sit down and figure it out until the problem was resolved. And after the problem was resolved, both sides understood. There was no coming back home. Oh, no. You're going to sit down, you're going to figure it out, and you're going to be adults about it. And right now, what we have in our society, we literally see people fighting as children, literally fighting. Love and hip hop, Atlanta Housewives, to where people, even in a financially stable situation, are arguing about childlike shit. Come on. Let's be for real here. Is this the foundation of what we want to lead to in the next 20, 25 years? And let me go back to that beauty thing, and I want to say this. What's going to be the definition of beauty in 25 years when we got literally people changing out their teeth, BBLs, changing out their eyebrows now? I mean, it's literally become out of control to where we're more reflective on the outside. We're more focused on our outside, but our insides. We're more focused on our outsides, but our health is failing. We're more focused on the outside, but everything else on the inside that's corrupt about our negative energy, our jealousy, our envy, all of our psychopathic tendencies that we probably never even thought that we had, are a constant conflict within our daily comings and goings. And also it is affecting the compatibility between the man and the woman, or a woman and a man. I asked that question. I want to say this. We need to group the men from all ages and also the women and bring in more of them from a successful marital standpoint to mentor them, to build better men and to build better women. This is where we at right now. There needs to be an age group and an age bracket to where men that are married to talk to young boys. And when I say young boys, to actually, hey, what direction are you going in? What financial stability are you going in? Do you have the mental capacity to take care of some things? Okay, what do you get mad at? What easily frustrates you? To literally prepare them as an adult so that they can transition from adulthood to manhood, because manhood is verified by the person you cling to. It's there. It's literally there. That's going to be the reflection of your family. Your family is going to be able to see a consistent basis of you taking care of your business. Same thing on the female perspective. Hey, mama, I got this. I got everything going. I can take care of the good, the bad, and the ugly. I got my husband's back. He comes first. She comes. And you bring it together and you become one. That was the essence, and that was the meaning of what we were supposed to be establishing. But as you look at where we are now, that love is starting to deteriorate, and we have to change that. Now, I want to say this too, and I want to bring this to a head. I want to talk about righthood. Righthood needs to be chosen over manhood and womanhood. And when I say that is, I've had these conversations with my brothers. And when I say my brothers, to keep me sharp and to keep me focused, a lot of times I wanted them to side with me. I wanted them to side with me. Y'all know me, but a lot of times I didn't tell the whole story. And let's just be honest. A lot of times we tell a story that's going to make them be empathetic on the situation, on how I view it, as opposed to the other person. Because there's right and wrong, and then there's there's the truth, there's a lie, and there's the other situation that's there. So I want to say this. I want everybody to start thinking about this when you start coming to your friends. Have friends on both sides. And I heard a man say this. If you're a man, have people on your side that advocate for her. And if on her side, have people that advocate for you. Because 9 times out of 10, and even especially when it comes to family, people are going to pick sides. People are definitely going to pick sides, and that's what you don't want to be in the middle of, because it goes back exactly to what I was talking about with in that reference of proxy war, where you're not even in the marriage, you're not even in the relationship, but you're dropping salt and you're dropping little things and negative, and then guess what? They start warring, and you're not even involved in the situation, and you're sitting back watching the chaos. But you know dang well when the relationship ends, I'm going to be there for my friend. Same thing on the man's side. I'm going to be there for my friend. But at the end of the day, y'all got together for a purpose and a reason. And that was to move forward, not move backwards. But to actually be better, not bitter. And that's exactly what we got to start. And what we got too many people choosing is a side as opposed to choosing what's right. I've always applied this, and I said if I ever ran in politics, I'd say this: the problems of the few don't outweigh the needs of the many. And this is just a real statement. I've always been like that. If you can't be right and that other person be right, and because I know they have points, then what's the purpose of the conversation? Because the art of conversation is to start here and get better in the end. And if the conversation ain't got better in the end, there's a disconnect somewhere, and that needs to be changed and that needs to be established. And sometimes you got to take a break from one another. Sometimes you got to take a break from your friends. Don't even listen to your friends. It's what you think and that person think. It's not what the outside thinks. And that's where the love has deteriorated, because you're getting in more negative people than you do positive. And I want to say this too, man. And I want to use this analogy. And I want to use this analogy because it made me think in reference of who we are as people versus the animals. And sometimes I think the animals have a little bit more sense than we do. There was a study. Some scientists studied the environment of wolves and lions. What they discovered, that the lions are better hunters, and that the lion would catch different, different prey, deer or whatever food. And they noticed the lion in the environment of the wolf wouldn't necessarily eat. Now check this out. Now, what the lion would do is, and this is amazing, we're talking about 2 different animals in the same environment. They're in their pack, they're in their pack. The lion left caches, particularly for the wolves, because they were lazy. So the wolves would follow the lion, and the lion would lead the wolves to the areas of where the cache was so that they could eat. And when the wolves would eat, it would be a benefit to the lion, because the lion would be able to eat and be left alone. Now, I want to say this. Here we are, mankind. Some would say it's God's greatest creation, man and woman with mind, body, and spirit. And we come together in marriage and relationships, cohabitating. And we sit there and we see each other day in and day out. Now, I can look at a lion actually feeding the wolves. But the crazy part is that we can actually cohabitate in the same house and don't even help each other or pour into one another or see one another starving and won't even lift a finger to help. We're talking about the animal kingdom fitting, and basically, and they studied this of how the lions would actually help the wolves to eat. We're talking animals. And here we are sitting in the same house, having a negative energy, having a negative foundation, and we won't even do nothing to love each other, to try to help one another become better. That's a problem. I want you to use that analogy. And think about that for a second. Animals helping each other versus people helping each other. Now, which one would you say is more savage? But that's just some food for thought. And like I said, I want y'all to understand something. Don't let don't let love deteriorate in 2024. I want y'all to enjoy y'all Valentine's Day. And if you're not somebody's Valentine's Day, I want to wish y'all a happy Valentine's Day. Good positive energy. Good love from everybody, your family, your siblings, your friends, everybody that you know that are close to you, and those that you know that are on your side and have your best interests at heart. I want y'all to understand. I want y'all to have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Valentine's Day. And this message was brought with nothing but love, honesty, and most of all, because I care. Because at the end of the day, I've seen enough negative energy, and it's time that we get to the positive. Now, I want to send a special thanks to these people. They've been with me since day one. I got to send them some love. Timothy Davis, Keenan, always, OG, Royal Green, Shonda Calhoun. Man, you have been a blessing to me since day one. Reese, that's my dog. I love her with all my heart. Cheryl Marshall, George Weatherman, me and him done had many conversations, man. He's called me, man, showed me love. My boy Money World Tim, Queen Hornet, Lewis Spencer, Third Ward, definitely, man, I appreciate you. Lou Alcindor, Trap God Lido, Chongo, Mark Curry, Trader Truth, DJ Cheddar Loco, Wax That Detailing. I also want to send a special shout out, rest in peace to Young Dolph, who me and him had a conversation, man, and that's the reason I keep going. OT Treats, you always know I love you. Upper Bistro Kirby, Team Living, Ricky Johnson, Pandemonium Clothing, OG Fry. What's up, man? Houston Shenanigans, Viral Exposure, Jason Black, The Black Authority, Francis Quest Wilson, Tim Minnie, Dinner is Possible, OG Clothing, Mastermind Entertainment, Skinny from Fifth Ward, RJ Robinson, Atra B. Johnson, Freddie Joe Smith, and the ninth wonder of the world, a national treasurer. The one fan that I know that's always going to be my fan forever, my mother, Joanne Higgins, and to the people that made it happen, Beefy Marketing. I love y'all. I also want to send some special shout outs to Jordan Gibson, owner of the Great 88 Movers. There's no job too big or too small. They do it all. You know what I'm saying? Definitely a close friend of mine, been friends of mine through the years, man. I appreciate them. Also, I want to send a special shout out to Falcon Liquors. I definitely want y'all to tap in with them. One of the best liquor stores out there in the city. I want to say this as well, too. If you ever get a chance, man, listen, Falcon Liquors, save 5% with the ad. They 13345 Briar Forest, Suite B, Houston, Texas, 77077. Man, go over there, tell them podcast sent you. They'll definitely take care of you. I also want to say this, too. Shout out to Premier Fine Wines and Spirits. I also want you to go over there, too. That's another place that I actually that I go to all the time. That place is, listen to me, they definitely gonna take care of you, whether it's wine, whether it's bourbon, whether it's anything. I mean, the customer service is excellent. I'm gonna give y'all the location, and look, Premier Fine Wines and Spirits, you're gonna save 5% with this ad as well. 174 Yale Street, 800 Suite 800, Houston, Texas, 77007. I want y'all to go over there, and I want you to understand that right over there, man, you gonna definitely get the best deals in the city. But like I said, I had to go ahead and drop off my sponsors and get in detail with them. Man, I'm always showing love. And like I said, if you want to hit me behind the scenes, definitely hit me behind the scenes. But I did this because I wanted to change the narrative. I wanted to start season 4 off with something that's going to be influential and positive. And it's something that we need culturally right now. So I wish y'all a happy Valentine's. I wish y'all a happy Valentine's, man, with all the trimmings, all the love. And it's definitely not about gifts. It's the thought. Just somebody thinking about you. Because at the end of the day, we all need somebody to think about us. So from us at Let's Yap About It podcast, the only podcast that's going to give you the truth, the honesty. And like I said, we not life coaching nothing around here. We're just saying some real things behind the mic because we have a responsibility to tell the truth, and what I say can affect others. You already know who it is. It's Rob the Prob, a.k.a. going to tell you what it is, whether you want to hear it or not. Signing off. It's been love. Peace.